Welcome to Igniting Inspired Insight, a space for stories that stir the soul. Here we believe everyone carries wisdom worth sharing. Each episode is a short journey that has 3 questions, one universal, one unexpected, and one that turns the mic around on me. So I'm Jae, and I'm so glad to be here to guide this conversation and this inquiry. And today I have a beautiful Tane named Kyle, who I've met in many weaves in a beautiful world of healing and many other things. Actually, I was gonna say, oh, how do you describe that? But I'm really honored to have this corridor with you. And when I first started planning this, for some reason, Spirit dropped you in, and I guess we'll find out in this chat what that's all about. But I'd like to thank you so much for being here and for being willing to, really explore this inquiry. And I want to flip that over to you and ask or offer for you to share with those who are listening, who is Kyle?
Kia ora, Jay. I want to say thank you for bringing me on. And who is Kyle? Ko ai au. Ko Kyle Boyd-Tawera tōku ingoa. I uri ahau no Ngāpuhi, no Ngāti Tamaoho, Ngāti Mahanga. Also over in Nepal, India and Scotland is where my waters are, or where my ancestors come from. And I am a curious adventurer who loves breathwork and loves the exploration through conversation and through everyday life. And currently I'm studying rongoa Māori as a means to come back to my whakapapa, to come back to who I am through a cultural lens. And also through that I get to have amazing conversations with individuals who are also on the same path as I am.
There's beauty in that openness, hey, and just in the curiosity. So let's lean into that. Okay, we're here on this first question, which is one that you already know. So you've had a moment to consider. This is the common thread. This is one question that I ask every guest. However, every answer is divinely different. So for you, what's one belief, moment, or experience that changed the way you see the world?
I think for me, when I reflected on this question, there were so many things that did come through. Some things I considered to keep to myself or to around those who I share my life with. And it was, that was a very special experience. But around that time, I also had an experience where I was in the city and I was going to work. And I took a moment to pause. And when I looked up and took awareness of the people around me, the city I was in, all I could see was this sadness. And I looked around, and it was like everybody I saw just had a sad face. I could see the disconnect, and this was the start of my awakening journey, where I was, starting to realize things, starting to see things on a bigger scale as well as a smaller scale, and how it affected me, and also how I was to contribute to that. And I went back to my mum and I said to her, I said, "Mum, why does everything around me, why do I feel like I have the thing of seeing bad things or seeing people come to me with their problems?" what I didn't realize in that time of that awakening was that this was actually me realizing my gift, and also being a reflection of that sadness, of that disconnection in self and on a collective scale, that had a slight change or shift within me, or caused a shift within me. And I got curious on that. I got curious as to why I was seeing that. And yeah, as from that moment in time, as things have started to unfold, I really got to see that moment right there. That was me catching a glimpse of the collective,
Mm.
of the sadness, of the disconnect that everybody has glimpses of, but I actually just realized that, yeah, I was able to capture a glimpse into that. So that helped me realize that it wasn't a me thing. And over the time, I was able to see that they, yeah, that everyone was just showing me what was happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So to reword that, when this experience was happening, I got to reflect on that and see that this is what is happening in the world. And this is what people are going through, are moving through at the moment. And so my impact to realize what it is that I can do for myself to also be a contribution to the collective disconnection and sadness that is going on.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah. I can imagine what you explained is that when you first start to see that, it's like really overwhelming. And as you said, in your way, like, why am I seeing this? And then being able to convert that, like, obviously, acknowledge and integrate, and then let that become your learning, your gift, and then potentially your mission.
mm,
So it's claim like this greater purpose for, well, your why, right? And that swings back to why you were shown in that way. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, the discomfort. So do you think that that led to changing your world?
Yeah. Yeah, massively. Had me look at what I was up to, what I was up to personally, and how I was contributing to myself to bring me a sense of joy and fulfillment.
Mm.
Had me get really honest with myself, with aspects of myself I was not a fan of past experiences, things that I'd done.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was I'd say that's where the true work began.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's humbling, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that also is a divine reflection of the integrity that you're in if you're willing to do that.
Mm,
And that will shine out. It does shine out. So
thank you.
thank you. That was beautiful.
Mm,
So here we get to segment two, which is in the moment, and therefore Kyle doesn't know the question that I'm about to ask him. And one of the reasons for that is just to really let ourselves lead from the heart, and also for what's true for us right now. So without preparation, it's more in integrity. So this question that I have for you is, what season of life are you in right now?
I'll just drop in and
Yeah, yeah.
wants to come through. Yeah, the season of life I'm in at the moment is stepping into leadership. And yeah, that really is I guess you can say leadership and it's very broad, but for me, it's really looking at who am I? Who am I to myself? Who am I to others? And who am I on a collective scale in terms of what I contribute and how I go about contributing it. And yeah, that's what really feels alive for me is the season I'm in is leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay. And have you contemplated what kind of leader you are or are becoming?
Not quite. Haven't had the time to sit with what leadership style I work with. Having learned small parts about leadership styles, there's many different parts of myself. I would say I have a very laissez-faire approach, but I'm also moving into a part of self that I see as there's strength in having others. How I see trusting others in the way that they flow,
Mm-hmm.
but then the balance between that and being able to direct so that your voice is both heard and respected. So yeah, trusting that the direction will be given, but then also having a trust that what others within who I work with, friends, family members, that we work together in a sense that there's the trust that goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that. If you were to like the season of life that you're in to a season of nature, what would it be?
It definitely is, yeah, as is Te Tai Awa's happening right now is winter.
Mm.
Like definitely feeling that inward turning, inward looking, and also reserving my energy. Yeah. So being able to look at where I'm placing my energy and attention. And that's
Yeah.
just what feels alive for me. Mm.
Yeah. I feel like it may be true for you, but the more that I lean into this work, especially with my connection to the earth and to the elements, that the more I am actually naturally without conscious awareness in alignment with the seasons and really leaning into what that energy and that opportunity is calling from us. Do you feel like
Mm.
that?
Yeah, very much. This winter, I've felt that internally within myself, within my patterns. And it's been really awesome to actually notice.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
and bring awareness to that.
Yep.
But then also get really curious if others are in that, if that's who else in my circle is moving through that in
Hmm.
the way that they do. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And their natural rhythm of that and expression. Yeah, I hear you. It's a beautiful thing to really lean into and play with, and also understand that as much as nature and the seasons are in cycle, so are we. and like really honoring that means that we're becoming present to the change. I love it. It's beautiful medicine. I asked because that's very much the way it's been for me in that winter. It's like this. I feel like this is the first winter. There's been like an essence of it in the past, but this is the first winter where I've really fully like, this is what I'm here for, is to like really go within and to be in that hibernation, to see what needs to come up and let it breathe and really pause and be in that beautiful rest.
Mm.
And there's a lot that comes from that, like podcasts and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
So much room for wānanga to
Yes.
go in
Yes.
and yeah, just be in that and let what needs to turn and get curious on what's turning and why it's turning like that. And yeah, that's been pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, here we are in segment 3, which is I'm calling Reflected Light, which means that Kyle now gets to ask me a question. And I don't know what that's going to be. So over to you.
Cool. So my question that I have for you, and answer how you may, is how old were you when you first discovered the magic? And where were you, if you can remember?
How old was I when I first discovered the magic? That's a really interesting question. I love that. I think that not from memory, but from my healing journeys, I know that that was very much present for me at a very young age. And I've been able to go back into that in some of the like breath work or other like explorative healings, then that's sort of come through for me. And saying that, I don't remember it because then I had an experience in my childhood that kind of blocked all of that for a very long time. And then I next experienced the magic, I would say, in and around how late 20s. Yeah, because for a long period of time, I completely shut down, disassociated from my body and my trauma.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I started to explore that the magic came back. Because you shut out one thing, you shut it all out.
Mm.
So there's a remembering of that sparkle as a really young child, and also having that reflected back to me when people talk about what I was like as a child, and like always wanting to take care of everyone, even when I was tiny, and animals and all of that, and like wanting to play and entertain and just bring joy to everyone. And then, yeah, again, experiencing that magic in my own journey of healing with who I call my spiritual grandfather. And he's now in the form of a hawk when he flies by on the sky. Um, he's the most incredible human, and he was very much an anchor for me. And he guided me into or back into the magic. And I actually have this one of the first experiences I ever had with him was just this pure vision of bliss, and he was just looking at me like through completely different eyes and just really in tears, and it was like he said, I can see where you've been and I can see where you're going, and I was just like, I don't understand. But I still remember it as being this most incredibly magical moment, and him being able to see things that were there that I didn't see but I could feel, and that for me was like really where the magic started to ignite again. And then just being in that intuition and starting to have people's loved ones come through for me, and that was like real, like, yeah, we're in the magic now. Because it's such an honor especially for some of the people who I knew. I had never met their loved ones, and they were coming through for me to communicate with them and to be a part of that magic and that spirit, that wairua. It's just, yes, it will always be an honor. It will never get old or normal, not ever. So being in that I mean, that's kind of a not necessarily specific answer, but that's kind of how that weaves and why, is very early. And then when I started my healing journey, there it was. That was the magic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I'd say I've always been a believer, but
Mm-hmm.
the like the earliest memory I have, and I still look back at this and think, man, I feel like, yeah, I feel like there's the intuition that runs through all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We were deeply connected as kids. Um, my sister and I would play in the front yard by these toadstools, or Amanita biscaria. And she was talking about fairies. Oh, the fairies live in here. To me, how old was I? I think I must have been about 5, maybe 6 years old. They lived in there. The fairies lived in there. And I really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw them. I just had that knowing that they were there. And that was the first real belief, or the first real time I saw the magic inside of myself. And as you say, like, things in life happen that have us shut out our magic,
Mm-hmm.
cause a certain disbelief. And yeah, that feeling of magic, it did come during the times of my early 20s, when I got into meditation, and these experiences are happening.
Mm-hmm.
A light comes out of nowhere, like a car with the headlights on high beam, just comes racing straight at me. Here's me in my mind thinking, oh, it's a car outside of the house. And so I pop my curtain open to see nothing. I didn't see anything. I was like, what the heck? Anyway, close the curtain, and go back into the meditation. And it's, how I would describe it as like, the tree of light in Avatar.
Mm.
And the light beings, the ancestors, they're floating. They're floating around. And that was the experience of that light that I saw inside of my mind's eye as it was just going past. And that's what really got me curious about it. And there was another time when I went into my first breathwork journey. Prior to that, everyone, I was waiting there. I was the first one there, rocked up, and everyone's like coming along, and we're introducing ourselves, getting to catch little glimpses of who we are and why we're here. First thing I see is a wahine. She's going over to the gardens, and she's having a full kōrero with the gardens. Now, similar to when I was younger, the fairies, she's actually having that conversation, and I was like, wow. That moment, I knew I was in I knew I was in an environment where, in a place where, yeah, this was something different,
Hmm.
and I was on the I guess on the edge of about to walk into another world, a more expansive world than the one I'd been in.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it was the magic. It came alive through the midi finding out different things through the conversation, um, and then also flowing into the breathwork journey, which cracked me right open,
Mm.
and getting out of that, moving through those emotions to sit back up, smiling from ear to ear, like holy, this is this is something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the reintroduction to the magic.
Yeah, I love that you said that reintroduction, because as you were speaking and even just kind of lightly reflecting on my answer, it's you could nearly flip that question. Not that it was wrong in any way, but it's like it's actually more like, when did we forget the magic? Because when you like you were right, and when you think back, like when you start to become aware and tune with the magic again, you can look back and see, oh, that was there then, and that was there then. I just didn't realize it.
Mm,
And so it's those threads that come through. But then, as you said, just to finish, it's like those experiences of breath work and other altered states of consciousness, like that brings the evidence of the magic through on like a whole nother level. And in those environments, then you're like, well, I'm with a magical crow, and it just feels right. There's no doubt and there's no questioning, despite the times of not remembering.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, everything
Yeah.
makes sense in that time.
Yeah.
You catch little glimpses of old memories, like, oh, yep, 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 and it's all just like realigning itself.
Hmm.
You get up, oh wow, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And we're realigning at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. Such a beautiful question. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to go into a bit more contemplation about that, especially the piece of like the forgetting, which is okay. But I think that leads to some more answers as well. So I really like that. And maybe, those who are listening might do that too. The
Mm.
magic's always been there. Yeah. Yeah. But absolutely fairies in the forest. I remember that too. Like, just they're all there. Can't you see them? It's so
Only
good.
feel-
So good. Thank you so much for your kōrero today, and just for sharing what's on your heart and where you're at. And before we finish, I just wanted to invite, if anyone wants to connect with you and what you're doing, how do they find you?
Yeah. So my main page that I'm active on is both of my Instagram pages. I've got my personal page at Kyle Boyd-Tawera, and I've also got my business page at Rihara Wellness. So yeah, you can find me on there, and feel free to message if you have any questions about breathwork.
Mm.
I love breathwork.
Yeah, you do.
And for me it's what I see as possible for others that are just coming into the space, for others, for everyone that has been in the space. What I really like to see is that every conversation that you have with someone is different, and therefore every journey, every breathwork journey, every Reiki journey, every midi journey that you have, I feel like we're all here to help connect uh, or unlock the different parts of ourselves. And it's,
Hmm.
we can't, like you said, we can't do this journey alone. It's in community, it's together. And that's what I really am committed to, is working together to, yeah, to have you unlock what's what your gem is, what your medicine is.
Hmm.
Mm,
Agreed. And that's the power of of community, right? And also we find our own answers in our own way, and different people lead us to those in different ways.
Mm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm.
I'll link your pages in the show notes, and I really appreciate you being here. And I want to thank anyone and everyone who has joined us in any way, form, for this episode, for igniting inspired insight. If today's conversation moved you, we really invite you to share it with someone, or perhaps if you listen along with someone, that might invoke a conversation for yourselves. And we would love that. And an invitation to remember that insight lives in everyday moments. Keep listening, keep asking, and keep igniting the way. Lots of love. Ciao.